It's mid-September, September 14th, and I'm just going to take a look at what's in fruit right now. Mostly apple trees. Plum trees are mostly done, although this one still has some plums on it. It's the Mount Royal European plum. And yeah, we'll take a look at all the apples as well. Got a lot of varieties I haven't tried before. This is the Mount Royal plum. It's a European plum. It's a little bit drier than the Asian plums I had before. So you can do some different things with that, just maybe drying them or different recipes. But tastes good. The tree is absolutely loaded. We've taken off probably 20 pounds already, but it's still covered in plums everywhere, so it's been good. Sorry if the light's a little harsh. The sun just came out here. I'd come out because the lighting was good, and then the sun popped out of the clouds. But here's some dwarf apples I have in the garden. This one is Sweet 16, and I think they're a mid to late September apple, so they've been coloring up nicely with the cooler nights, and yeah, we'll be trying some of those soon. This is the first year it's had fruit for me. It's just a very small tree, but it's loaded with fruits. Beside it is the older, I think it's maybe 2 years older, the Liberty apple. Every year it's like this. It's only 6 feet tall, but completely loaded with fruit every single year. It doesn't get any disease problems at all, though it does get attacked by insects. There's no resistance for insect bites, but as far as some of the diseases go, this apple doesn't get any. These are an October apple, so they've got a little bit to go yet. They're a little bit smaller this year. I guess I let it overfruit. I always do. It's hard to pick off as many as you need to in June. This is the Akane apple, Japanese apple. It's a semi-dwarf, but it's been slow growing because it's got to be 7 or 8 years old. And this is its best fruiting it's had yet this year. We've been eating quite a few, so there's less apples here now than there was. But really beautiful color, and they've really reddened up. We've been eating them for about a week now. Beautiful, beautiful colors, so bright red. You could almost call it an ornamental apple, but the taste is really good too. White, very white flesh, and crisp. It's a good apple, and it's supposed to have some disease resistance, which, yeah, seems to be. This is my older tree. This is the light's really harsh here, but this is the Golden Delicious. I'll try from the other side. Completely loaded. I've had two bad years with practically no apples. This is a fully mature tree, so I expect fruits more regularly. Absolutely loaded with apples this year. Hopefully I'm not going to cause a biennial problem next year. There's some around the side that are getting a bit of sun, afternoon sun or something like that, that are starting to get a little blush. I find these ones do get a pretty good blush for me. And the Golden Delicious always have that really long stem. Makes it a little bit easier to handle as opposed to some of the others. Behind me here, this is the same age tree, but I really didn't like the variety, and I think it might have been misnamed. The fruit was never good. So I grafted it over to 6 different varieties here. Probably 4 years ago for the 4 front varieties, and 3 years ago for the 2 back varieties here. So this one is the Gala, Royal Gala. They're smaller apples. This is its first major fruiting this year. Completely loaded with fruits, and these will be ready this week and into next week. Right there. Don't use any sprays here, so it's handy to have lots of apples, so you can just toss the bitten ones, and there's always enough good ones remaining. Had to stake up these grafts just because they're overloaded for sure. So the next one over is Ambrosia. They're just starting to get some color this week. They were pretty green at the beginning of the week. They're starting to get some color. There's some disease in here, scarring and different bug bites. Yeah, but they're an October apple, so they'll be probably a month away yet. And I'm not sure how the light's going to work here. You can see all the grafting here. These are the 5 original branches that have been grafted over to different varieties in here, and tags hanging on them to remember which is which. This variety right here, the next one I'm showing here, there's no apples left. It was an early apple. It's strawberry pippin. They're all gone. They're really early, but with most apples, early apples, I think they're not that good. So the next one over here is Macoun. It's spreading quite a bit. It's an aggressive one. It's got the southwest corner, so it gets the most sun. But it's loaded. Didn't have many last year, but the year before I got a couple, and they were probably some of the best apples I've ever tasted. Macoun, known to have practically no stem, like it grows right up to the branch. That's one of its commercial faults, but it's an excellent tasting apple. These are fairly big. They have Macintosh lineage, but yeah, better than Macintosh tasting for sure. And it's loaded with Macouns here. Next one over has been less aggressive. This branch in the middle, it is the Pitmasterson pineapple. Supposedly I've never had one, but I'm gonna this year. They're small apples, described as ugly. They have some russeting, but they have a true pineapple taste. So there's a couple, I know there's a couple more up in there. And there might be some up higher. There was some in June up higher. And yeah, I'm looking forward to tasting those, see if there really is that pineapple taste. Here, the last one on this tree is the Ashmead's Kernel. So it's a late October apple, and apparently needs some storage to get its best taste. So again, a fairly ugly looking apple, maybe brownish, green. It's supposed to be really dense, hard apple, not crunchy in any way, just dense. But one of the better tasting apples out there. So yeah, I'll be picking these in late October, trying to let some just mellow in the basement for a couple of weeks, and into November and December, hopefully they'll be as tasty as they say. Alright, I think there's just one or two more varieties in the back here. Yeah, the plums are all gone now. The European plums, pears, sorry, I had a couple of those, and they had a good year. The trees are still fairly small, but got a couple dozen. This little tree has really struggled. It's not doing the best here. It's a little bit higher and drier on the side of the yard. Tried to water it vigorously this year. Got one apple, which I've been protecting, but this is the Honeycrisp. So it's looking great, and actually it should be ready next week. Yeah, they say they're pretty hard to grow. Not the tree itself, but the fruit can be hard for backyard orchardists to make a good fruit, but cosmetically this one looks good, and hopefully it doesn't have water core or some of the other problems that Honeycrisp can get. Little tiny tree here again too. It struggles with their temperatures, but this is a Chijuro Asian pear. Some of these should be ready now too. We've tried one last week and they were lacking taste. This thing is fairly loaded though with pears all throughout, so yeah, we'll be eating those shortly. I think the last apple I have is the Wealthy apple. And this has been fairly slow growing for me as well too. Never had fruits before, so lots of fruits this year. We've been eating these for the last week, but yeah, they're known to be really cold hardy, good for applesauce and cooking. They're a little bit plain tasting just to eat out of hand, but glad to finally start seeing apples on all the trees now, so that's really exciting. There's the two pear trees, which we got some pears off this year, about 2 dozen from each tree. And this here is the green gauge plum, which we'll go see that. There is some plums there now. They might even be overripe. They're really juicy, really sweet. Yeah, you can see there's a bunch falling on the ground here. And then if we look way up there, they're harder to see because they don't have that color contrast. But There's some green gauge plums up there as well too. Okay, that is a look at the garden. Green grapes there, they're ready now. But that's a look at the garden in September.